Hey everybody. So take you along on this next journey here. So we had just left Delaware. It was in the mid 80s, and now I'm a couple miles from the New York border at a harvest host at Red Rock Barbecue. It's just south of the New York border, headed up to Burdick RV up in New York. We're going to get a Vroom Slide put into the Pasadena there. So we'll take you along. You guys know I really enjoy our coach a whole lot. There's some things though that I don't necessarily like about it, but we're fixing those. So we've added the lithium batteries. You can see right up above. Let's see, where's it at? Right there's the true toppers. So now we're going to get this big slide on this side, put Vroom in there, and then this thing is going to be pretty much what we think is going to be a perfect coach. So it's a little bit chilly now. It's in the 40s. I'm not going to put the slides out. We're going to be here for overnight. I'm going to get up and head out of here early in the morning around 6 o'clock, so I can be there pretty early. And it's to be honest with you, it's on grass, and I don't really like putting the slides out or putting the levelers down on grass. So it's just me. I'm by myself, so I'll sleep up in the bunk tonight and watch some hockey. Get myself some barbecue here. Watch hockey games. There's games on right now. The first game's on. Then there's 3 more tonight. We'll run all the way till about 1 o'clock in the morning, probably by the time the Vegas game's over. So we're going to watch a lot of hockey and get some barbecue, and we head out here early in the morning. I'm going to drop this off on Monday. Then I got to fly out for work. I'm going to fly out of Syracuse into Chicago. Got some things to do out there. Fly back on Thursday morning. It should be done by then, and then head back home. So.
The open road where dreams unfold, adventure calls, a story to be told. With every mile, our spirits soar. Freedom song forevermore. Super C Chow Adventures on the go, through the hills and valleys, don't you know? With laughter and love, we're all so free. A journey shared, just you and me. Heather by my side, Herbie and Bugsy too. Together we chase skies of endless blue. In our RV, a home on wheels. Every turn, a new world reveals.
It is nearly the beginning of May. Can you believe this? Good morning, everybody. We are on our last leg up to just north of Syracuse, and stayed at Harvest Host last night. Woke up to this. So I don't know what's worse in the state of New York, the weather or the roads, but they're both terrible at this point.
In 600 feet, your destination will be on the right. Your destination is on the right.
With the Vroom system, the concept is going to be very similar to what you're used to seeing with Schwintek. What they do is they take off of the Schwintek and all the weak points and enhance all those weak points. Here you see where they go to a stainless steel roller along with a thicker plate in some cases, so 1/8 inch plate, and they remove the screws and use rivets. So that's just one area. You can see here that most of these Schwinteks, not most, all Schwinteks are going to use a collapsible roller, which basically means it's a plastic roller, not as wide. And then once they start getting collecting different particles of dirt, glue, what have you, they just become harder to move. And then what you'll see here is in the track of the Schwintek, it's not as wide, it's not as robust, and a lot of times the lock will sit in there not flush. So you're only actually moving on part of the track instead of the entire track, which is narrow to begin with. Here you can see again what's happening with the roller or the gear on the Schwintek, where it sits on sometimes of an angle, and that's why you start to see paint being removed on the track. With Vroom, the gear itself is bigger, but also the brush is what they call it, goes around the entire gear mechanism, bolts in so it doesn't pivot one side or the other. And in addition to that, it just simply has more contact surface. The brushes have a stainless steel rollers on them instead of friction based that you see on the Schwintek. And why that makes a difference? It takes less effort to move it. It doesn't burn up your motors as quickly. And if you have to push it in by hand, it's easily done. So you see here on this slide how it makes contact to the gear, both top and bottom. And in addition, that gear is basically twice the size, so more contact room than the Schwintek, larger footprint, and the gears are more, instead of being pointed, they're more of a rounded gear, so you get more of a mesh of the gear, if you will. So you can see here that it covers the entire gear from top to bottom, where on the Schwintek, not only are the gears smaller, but the contact surface is about 3/4 of what it should be. With the Schwintek system, there's only bolts on the top of the gear that's along the wall. With Vroom, it's riveted top and bottom so that it can't swivel and tilt side to side. So you'll see here, again, the screws only go in so far. All that's holding it is the screw itself and a couple threads. With the rivets, you get a tighter seal, top and bottom, so it doesn't allow it to swivel. The size difference is just enormous. It makes all the difference in the world. The motors are similar in size. The difference with Schwintek, everybody knows these motors use a D column that slides down in, and they have a tendency to pop up out of there. With Vroom, it's a true gear instead of a D ring, and they bolt down in. So there's no way they can come up, and usually what happens when the Schwinteks, the motors pop up, twist off the wires, and then you're stuck. That's not the case with Vroom. You can see here the rivets that are being used and how it sandwiches everything together instead of just a couple threads from a screw that's typically a wood screw. And then the track itself, which is what's going to go inside of your walls, it floats in there. So the brushes, or what they call the brushes, it floats in there. And what this does is it allows, although you should always be level whenever you put your slides out, this allows, if you're for some reason you're not level or there's a twist, it will move back and forth and allow that to move a little bit. Where on a Schwintek it's fixed, and it's fixed with, believe it or not, in my case, it was just plastic rivets is all it was fixed with, and a couple, I guess they were plastic guides. So you can see here the plastic guides that are used, and in this case these were metal. In mine, they were plastic rivets. Now the nice part about it is you see these 3/4 inch bolts. You unloosen those bolts and you simply push it in by hand if you have a problem. Very easy operation. A big slide might take 2 people, but you can get somebody at the campground at the RV resort to help you push that in if you get to that point. Quick shot of the Vroom slides. Now we got these installed. We had this installed at Burdick's in New York. So a couple things with Vroom. Obviously much heavier material. The way that the gearing is shaped, you'll see in the video, or you've already seen in the video, how much bigger the gear is, how much bigger the track is. They use, instead of screws that will always pull out, because it's only into some, whatever it's fiberglass or wood, whatever's on your RV, they use a rivet that goes in and it mushrooms out and basically sandwiches this, so these things don't move at all. Inside of here it's kind of hard to see, but maybe if you can see up in there, there's a 3/4 inch bolt. That's all you need to do, one on either side. You unloosen those and drop those down until you see a little bit of the silver, and that's what that silver is the shaft that's running all the way up, and it connects to the motor up there. Very similar to Schwintek, but whenever that drops down, the shaft drops down, and you're able to push the slide in if you would ever have any problem. But it's a 3-year warranty with Vroom, and a 1-year warranty on the motors. The motors are bigger, more power. Well, they're 501, so the same power, but much bigger. They bolt in instead of just dropping in and sliding in like what you see on the Schwintek. So I wouldn't say it's impossible to break, but if it does, one, they cover it, and two, it's a much heavier system. So it's quiet, it's quick. A couple things to call out. You can see that the plates are underneath of there. One of the things that the guys that did the installation said was, maybe ended up being a little bit cheaper, is the plates were in place, the proper plates, the proper distance. They had to, now what they did do is they took all the screws out. If you can see here, they took the screws out and they put those same rivets that you see on the side here. They put those on the plates, but didn't have to add any plates, didn't have to move any of the plates. He did get in there and see if I can get in here someplace you can see it. Maybe not. You're not going to be able to see it, but they replaced the rollers. So the rollers that are in here from Lippert, and I don't care if you have a Renegade, a Thor, Dynamax, any fifth wheel, anybody that uses a Schwintek slide, they put plastic rollers in there, and what they call a collapsible roller. And so anyhow, the rollers all came out, and they put stainless steel rollers in, and then also the track that, and you'll see this also on a video, the gear in here is held onto this track that's bolted in on from the bottom and the top, and there's also stainless steel rollers that roll along here, so they slide much easier. So everything is done in aluminum and steel instead of plastic, and what you'll see in Schwintek. So if you're interested, you can look up Burdix, or get a hold of me and put you in contact with the folks from Vroom. They're based out on the West Coast, but they do have a couple different installers: Indiana, Florida, Connecticut, New York, obviously West Coast. I think they're in Arizona. I believe there's one in Texas, but you can look at Vroom slidesystems.com and look for your local installer. If you have any problems with the warranty, you can take it to any of the installers across the country and they'll fix you up. But real happy with it. Probably get the other two done. The two smaller slides are not showing anywhere, so let me take you over there and just show you what I'm talking about. So some of the things that you want to look for on your slides, especially on either side, so on the back or the front, if you see where this is starting to discolor and turn from, in this case, black to silver, then what's happening is your gear is probably sitting in there on an angle like this, and it's not sitting flush, or it's already starting to skip a tooth, and you'll start to see this paint wear away. And if that's the case, then you're going to want to look into it and get that addressed. Again, we got this Vroom slide put in on a big slide, and to show you a little bit of the operation and how this works. It's so much, I don't know that it's any quicker, definitely much quieter. Let me turn this thing around and show you too. So in our coach, it's what we did was the large wall, the big slide. So it starts, it starts here and it goes all the way back to where you see that picture hanging on the wall there. So on this slide, we have 2 televisions. So there's a television back there in the bedroom. There's a television on the televator there. We also have a fireplace, microwave, refrigerator, washer and dryer. So this is a big, heavy slide, and the fact that it's I think it's 28 foot long, so it's extremely heavy. So that's the reason why we went with Vroom. But let me show you just a little bit of the operation. And the nice part about with Vroom compared to Schwintek, besides the fact that it's just more robust and just uses better parts, we also can, let me set my phone up here to be able to bring this in. You can also bring the Vroom slide in part way or extended part way and stop and go the other direction. You cannot do that with Schwintek. So I'll show you here. So if I wanted to, I can stop here. Slide's not all the way in. All right, so there's a couple inches out there. And then you can go back out without having to run it the full way in and the full way out. So that's it. That's the Vroom slide, and again, on this huge wall of our slide, they do not take this slide completely out. I thought eventually, originally that the whole slide came out of the coach. That is not the case. They move it around. They detach everything that needs to be, but like water lines and electric lines don't have to be. But they move the slide around to install the Vroom, mostly on the walls, on the bottom where the tracks are. But it's a big operation, but it's relatively simple operation. And the other nice part about it is, once they get your slide adjusted, it's adjusted correctly, top to bottom and side to side, so that your gaps are the same on it. And it's square 100%. Now the tech did say that he was very happy with the way that this slide was set up from Thor. He said it was very square, in really good shape. He was very happy with it. They didn't have to make a lot of adjustments, other than the fact that as they take all this stuff out and everything that's up underneath it here, the slide moves anyhow. But they get it back in alignment. This one was in really nice shape, but you will see, an obvious difference in the mechanism. Even though it's based on the same principle, it's just more robust. So look up Burdix, look up Vroom System. If you're interested, get in touch with me if you want to know a little bit more about it. Tallest in Life did their big slide on their Class A Tiffin. They did a fantastic job, a great video on that one as well, so you can check them out. But again, reach out if you got any questions.